we'll see ubiquitous computing. In this ubiquitous computing, we'll see edge computing, cloudlets, fog computing, Internet of Things, virtual conferencing, virtual events like things like 2D, 3D, hybrid computing. In the ubiquitous computing, actually Mark Weiser was the one who coined this term ubiquitous computing, where he said that there are could be three basic ubiquitous computing devices possible. For example, tablet, pads, and boards. What is tablet that we use is a wearable device which could be approximately in centimeters. Pads that could be in a handheld device which could be in centimeters, like our mobiles. Then boards, an interactive larger display device that can be approximately in meters of size. Computing of all these things could be like everywhere or anywhere at any time. Any device could be used and any location could be worked from, and any kind of formatted file could be used. So it means that there could be multiple things could come up together, was being coined as ubiquitous computing by Mark Weiser. Next, edge computing. Edge computing is one of the term which is related to the cloud computing, and edge computing is like a paradigm of distributed computing, where edge computing plays important role in distributed computing. Computation and data storage of all the internet based large scale computing are kept closer to the user, so that user could get the data and the response quicker and faster. So what was the purpose of edge computing? So purpose of edge computing is fast response time. And it actually saves bandwidth, means packet transfer, and all these things required over the internet would be reduced, and thus the response time would be very efficient and quick. Cloud computing basically operates for the big data, but in case of the edge computing, the edge computing operates on the instant data, means quick data. You need quick data. There could be two terms, big data as well as instant data. The edge computing basically refers and been used from content delivery network or content distribution network that we had studied in unit 4 as CDN. So we had already seen and studied Akamai CDN in detail, and you can refer to Unit 4 for this. Along with that, we had also studied Akamai Facebook photo serving stack. This is also been given in the Unit 4. Next, Cloudlet. So Cloudlet was being coined by Mahadevan, Satya, and Victor Behel, and so on. It is basically a mobility enhanced for small scale cloud data centers, means which could be located near to the device which is requiring some of the data, and this could be fast, and this could save batteries of the mobile devices that are required. So why we use Cloudlet? Cloudlet, suppose in ships or in some submarine or somewhere in the ocean, you need some of the networking, and you have some devices over there. Thus, these devices requires too much battery because signals are weak. So how you can do these things? So you can have a edge server in the big ship, which could actually have efficient computing in the ship, and from that efficient computing server you can have devices running on the ship, means small devices like mobile or tablets running on the ship, or somewhere around near that ship could serve that internet or some resources content that are required for internet based computing for those mobiles. And thus you can save your battery in that ship or in the remote area where the actually energy was going. So energy was being going in the server, so server is consuming the main energy, and in the server you can put a big plug or battery over there, and that server will have a full battery everywhere. But the devices, small devices, mobile and all these things, would not drain their battery quickly. So you can save your mobile battery in the ship with the help of a big data center working in the ship as an edge for the internet computing. Then it is like it work as a data center in a box, means in a ship you can have, and this will bring the cloud, means internet of the whole world, near to that ship, and thus you can have fast efficient mobile computing. Then it also supports resource intensive and interactive mobile application where actually mobile battery drains very quickly. Thus, it is one of the powerful computing resource machine should be required to the device, mobile devices with lower latency. Means mobile could be connect faster to the local server in the ship, and that local server of ship is connected to the internet, and that server have a huge size of battery working there, or huge size of power resource working over there in the backend for that server. So this is the purpose of cloudlet. Then next, fog computing. So in the fog computing, basically it is again a kind of a part of a distributed computing where you can have storage, control, and networking functions, which could be bring closer to the user for the cloud to things. In the network functioning, it brings a cloud of things closer. And how it works for the cloud computing, means it supports cloud computing, it tries to manage cloud computing, and it works in support of cloud computing, and it makes cloud computing more efficient. Why? Because it brings those devices closer to the user, and that could help the cloud computing. How that has been done? That has been done if you are using some utility computing device like mobile or something closer to some cloud. So that cloud was being like a server over there in locally, and that server was being said as performing some fog computing for that device, small device. And all these things are still being under the development phase. So all these terms like cloudlet, edge computing, fog computing are still growing and still finding their definition where they fit in the architecture, internet architecture. And thus these are the new research fields. And then fog computing is different from edge computing, and people get, researcher and scientists get confused with what is edge computing and what is fog computing. So there are key differences between fog computing and edge computing. For example, the fog computing works with the cloud computing, whereas edge computing defined by the exclusion of cloud computing, means edge computing can stand alone and could be independent, but fog computing works along with the cloud computing. So if there is an edge inside the cloud computing architecture, then it is said to be fog computing. But edge computing could be independent internet based computing. So edge computing is a larger term, and it is a content delivery network. So it's different. But fog computing is a smaller thing in the internet computing. What is that a small thing? Because fog computing comes inside the cloud computing. In the large cloud computing paradigm, you have a small edge. Then that edge was being said as fog computing, fog edge. So this is the purpose of fog computing. Means edge within the cloud is said to be fog. Then fog is a kind of hierarchy where edge tends to be limited to a small number of layers. So it is like a number of layers working together for providing some of the efficient computing, where the fog is actually based upon the hierarchy of edges. Means if first node was failed, means missed out, then the data will be searched in the second stack of that memory. Then if second stack of memory also miss the data set, then the third layer would be requested, then fourth layer would be requested. So this is the way actually layering of the hierarchy of fog works. Then cloud computing actually deals with big data, but fog computing actually deals with the real time data generated by sensors and users. So this is basically difference between fog computing and cloud computing. Internet of Things. This is also very popular, well developed subject and concept now, and this is running as a coursework in the many university. Internet of Things. This is a separate coursework like a cloud computing course. So what does it says and how it is related to cloud computing? It is the network of physical devices What are the devices? The things that we see around us. What are the things like we see in the home appliances or anywhere in the city? For example, now the intelligent devices are coming up like Bluetooth based speakers. So Bluetooth of mobile is connected to the large speaker. So this is a internet of things. How you do the Bluetooth connection and what was the purpose of connecting mobile with the speaker? Because mobile can run internet, so you are running YouTube on your mobile, and your mobile is connected with a Bluetooth device of a speaker. So when you are playing your mobile with YouTube video and sound was playing and your speaker was playing the audio of YouTube, this is what internet of things means. Your speaker is so intelligent that it has a Bluetooth. That Bluetooth was connected to your mobile, and that mobile was further being connected to the YouTube. So this is internet of things. Similarly, there could be fans, tube lights, and all these devices that we see in the home could be intelligent and could be operated with mobile and all these devices. Thus, this is like a network of physical objects that are things embedded with the sensors. So, how these things work with the help of sensors and software like Bluetooth and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging the data, means between the speaker Bluetooth and the mobile Bluetooth. So, the data was being connected and exchanged. Thus, these type of devices and system works with the help of internet. How this is how they are being connected. Examples are like I already explained: smart home devices and appliances, smart city equipment and facilities. Then it is a kind of real-time data analytics. It requires a huge and fast and efficient real-time data analytics. Thus, there's a totally a new different field of machine learning and all the data mining type of thing inside the Internet of Things. Then next, you can say information explosion or data delusion. So these devices actually produce too much data set and too much information. Thus, it is a explosion of those information in and flood of that data. Deluge means flood type of thing. Why this is was because of data flood by these sensors and devices. Then information flood was there. Then it is one of the ever increasing amount of electronic data, means vast amount of data that could even beyond the imagination, and which actually per unit time, means per second this much data was being generated, per minute this large amount of data was generated, and in per hour this enormous amount of data in terabytes could be generated. What actually been done, these type of data being processed and output was being generated as the analytic result, and those data set which is having terabytes of storage in r or 2 or 3 hours, so these are being deleted. So only the information based on the analytic would be stored, and the data was deleted because of its large size. Thus it is unmanageable amount of data growth. Thus you need to increase your processing power of that data processing power. And when you increase the data processing power, then you could able to process that large growing data, and then you can have the analytic reports. Next, virtualization. So all these things that we are seeing in the cloud computing, internet of things, edge computing or fog computing everywhere, these are being backed up by virtualization. Means virtualization is the very important concept working behind all these things. What is virtualization? Virtualization is basically doing hardware platform storage or computer network resource illusioning, means creating a virtual computer with some hardware platform storage and computer network. Then hardware virtualization or platform virtualization could refer to the creation of virtual machines, VM, that we had discussed in a detail. So there are two type of virtualization possible: full virtualization and para virtualization. In the full virtualization, whole new set of machine or software environment or guest operating system was being created with all the apps and the apps required. So this is full virtualization, means simulation of full machine. Then para virtualization, in the guest app was being just for the guest app are being executed in isolated domains. What are the example of para virtualization? Container that we had seen, container as a service. So this container as a service container was an example of para virtualization. Then the application virtualization and workspace virtualization. What is application virtualization and workspace virtualization? So it's kind of isolation of individual app underlying some operating system and with working with other apps. And then service virtualization means emulating the behavior of APIs, cloud, and SOA type of technologies. There are many type of other virtualization could also be possible. For example, memory virtualization, when you aggregate RAM resources with the help of network system in a single memory pool, then you could have virtual memory as a virtualization. So it's like an illusion or an impression of continuous memory working for an app, and then you can have an isolated underlying physical memory actually providing that continuous working memory for that app. This is virtual memory. Then storage virtualization, where you can have the process completely abstracting the logical storage from the physical storage. This kind of storage virtualization could also be possible for processes running in the processor. Then distributed file system. It's a kind of file system that we had seen, Hadoop distributed file system, that actually allowed to access the files from multiple hosts from sharing via the computer network like in HDFS. Then virtual file system like in operating system, where the abstraction layer could work on the top of the more concrete file systems. Then you have storage hypervisor, where you combine various physical storage resources into single or multiple flexible pool of logical storage. So these are the kind of virtualization possible. Then next, a few more virtualization possibles like virtual disk, like emulating. It is a emulator for the disk driver, such as hard disk driver or optical disk driver could also be possible. Then data virtualization could also be possible, where you can have presentation of data as an abstract layer. Then independent and underlying database systems were there for structured and storage purpose. So these are the data virtualization kind of thing, where the presentation of data and abstraction layer could work for the independent and underlying database condition. Then database virtualization, where you actually have the decoupling of the database layer, where the storage and application layer are of different layers, and then you can say that it is a kind of database virtualization. Then network virtualization, where you can have a virtualized network working and addressing some of the space within the network, and subnet was being virtualized. So all these things are being done with the help of network virtualization. A kind of network virtualization is private network, virtual private network, where actually you replace actual wired internet based physical medium with an abstract layer of network. So it is behaving like a virtual unwired network was behaving like a network. This is a kind of virtual private network. So you can go and study all these virtualization in detail if you wish. Next, we have virtual conferencing, the most important thing that we want to discuss in the class. So, what is virtual conferencing and how it has been done? It's a kind of teleconferencing, phone line, landline, cellular devices, which was been actually available since many years, means 20s or 30s of years. Then video conferencing was there, means you can have web camera, microphone, speaker, and internet connectivity and hardware devices being dedicated for the communication purpose. Then you can have web conferences like internet at cloud supported architecture was there, where you can have web 2.0, and well known applications are Google Meet, Skype, and Microsoft Teams are there. Then it could be have multiple communication from many sender to the many receiver. Then you have webinars like web seminar, webcast working over there. Then you have the live media presentation, podcast was there, audio presentation could be there, web meeting could be there. Then we'll discuss virtual events in detail. Then virtual events is like an online event which is actually trying to imitating and behaving like a virtually having the real event. means you have the online event which is actually providing illusion of the physical meeting. So this is virtual event, like interacting in the virtual environment between the many audience and for the web and instead of physical meeting. Multi-session online event often been featured as webcast. So all these webinar and webcast could be the part of multi-session online event. Then the aim of this virtual event was experience of a physical meeting. Then live streaming could also be possible in these type of events working online, and on demand video could be there. Then issues of this type of virtual events are like echo of voice, audio video logistic problems could be there. Then network bandwidth and conferencing of the server and user could also be there. Next, you can have a 2D virtual events like this, and you can have a edited collage, and you can show that this was the event of IIT Indore Convocation 2020, where I was graduated from IIT Indore in PhD. And you can have a collage like this. We had just given images of us, and all these images are being edited and being presented in the whole picture. And this picture was collage was being created, and you can show in the virtual events like this. Then next, you can have virtual degree distribution like this. So virtually the HOD of CSE had announced my name, and the my display name and slide was being run, and I was being graduated. Next, this type of virtual event by the education minister was being presented. Webinar was in the IIT Indore Convocation 2020. So virtual addressing could also be possible. And in the another event where Heidelberg Laureate Forum, and we are talking now about the 3D virtualization based event. So how the 3D virtual event could work? So it could run a live video in front of me. There was a video running, and you can see in the screen the video was running. So you can have a live video in the 3D virtual event. So this man who is standing was my avatar in the that 3D arena, and I can move, I can go along anywhere in the auditorium, and I can see the video over there. Then you can have a very good looking architecture and style where I can move and roam and discuss with the other persons. Then you can have poster sessions, and I can attend any poster. There could be 10 poster in this room, and there could be another hall or another room. You can see, you can on the top there was a location symbol was there. You can go in the location symbol and change the hall, and then you can go in near to that poster, and when you click on the button given on the right hand side, and then the whole poster would come up in the PDF, and you can read that PDF, and you can study that PDF. Next, there's again the location change where I went to the hall C for the algebra and geometric. So first hall was for the machine learning, but the second hall was hall C was for the algebra and geometry. And you can go and again click on the PDF, and PDF will open, and you can have a clear visibility of that. And another hall G, another location where you can go and see the PDF that you want to see. Next, you can have a virtual gathering. Here, when you press on space bar given in the bottom, and then you can able to speak from the microphone like I was speaking, and all these persons was standing, and they can move and roam here and there anywhere around this place and arena, and they can talk like a video game that you had played, or the 3D virtual games that you had played. So it's like GTA, you had played some video games. So you can have the discussion over here with these peoples, and these are live humans where they are talking like me. So we can have 5 or 6 person talking here about some topic or discussion. Then you have a very good recreation place where you can have a dancing party, where you can have all these things, where you have a good videos working, and you have many cranes working for some function and something. This type of recreation videos could be there in the background, and you can move and roam here and there and see. For example, we can have a virtual dancing event, so there could be many moves and these people are dancing and roaming and it's like a real time of things. So you can sit in the sofa that you can see around there, so you can go and sit over there in the sofa. And on the parallel you could have the virtual live stream video running on the YouTube, which has been streamed through a website, closed website. Then you can have a hybrid event, means physical in-person event as well as virtual online event. So this is the most advanced form of virtual event, which is called to be hybrid event. So you can have trade show, conferences, seminar, workshop, convocation working together. This was the hybrid event, like landing page of LNMIIT convocation. And you can go to the photo booth, you can go to the welcome decks, chat box, agenda, auditorium. You can have mosaic wall. In this, for example, in the when I go to the photo booth, I could click my image like this, and I can save this image to the desktop. Next, you can go for the help chat in the front end, and you can type and write what I want to request. I have some problem with this event. I don't able to find the lobby and it is not working properly. So the in from the backend somebody resolves that issue and try to help you. How it helps you? It gives you feedback from this kind of backend. So help chat backend was working in this, and then the person who is sitting in behind said that amazing work by thanks for the event. So thanks was being said by the LNMIT's convocation chat support too, which was I me, and I said thanks. Then you can have a mosaic wall working for the event, and you can click on an image and you can post it. And how it will be posted? It will be posted like this was the persons who had attended that event, hybrid event. And then this type of collage was being created. Next, you can have a very good uh, virtual based effects, special effects, like blowing of a flower could be there in the effect, and then there was flower was blowing everywhere. Then you can have welcome webcast, where you can have some of the person who is speaking, some of the dignitary who is speaking and saying welcome to our event, and this was for the convocation purpose, and all the description he want to give, so it can give from here. Next, this kind of virtual event could also be possible. And next, the addressing of this virtual event could also be possible like this. So this kind of remote connectivity could be there. These persons are attending the event remotely from a various location, and this was the virtual auditorium you can see. And you can also see there was a real and physical auditorium where the convocation was being conducting. So first the video frame was for the real physical conference which was being conducted, and other 3 4 was like 4 windows are for the remote persons who are attending the event. And this was the scene of the virtual auditorium. So this is virtual auditorium, and first window was for the physical auditorium. Then next, there was a first window again for the physical auditorium, and again from the physical auditorium, second window where the convocation speaker was speaking, that degree distribution was being done. We have the degree distribution for the student, and his father was giving the degree because of the COVID-19. Next, you have the physical degree distribution, and these are the actual students which were present in the auditorium at that point of time. So they are been getting the degree from that location. The whole hybrid event was being created and being produced. COVID-19 this is the reason for all the three events that I had discussed: IIT Indore Convocation 2020, Heidelberg Laureate Forum 2020, and then this LNMIT Convocation 2020. And the all the three event was being conducted through internet because of the COVID-19. Then these are the references, and you can have go and read those references for big data analytics part, and these are the references for the ubiquitous computing, and go and read the ubiquitous computing part. Then thanks a lot, and this was like close for the coursework, and all the best for your exam. Thank you. All the best.